How's it going, everybody? This is Novakast back with another video for you guys. Do another video for reaction time. This time focusing on another video game addict kid that was on the DR.Phil show. I'm kind of curious. To an extent, I was able to get a few people to watch the other one, which honestly, for those who watched that video, thank you for taking the time to watch that. So we're gonna look at this one. I'm gonna give my own takes on, what's said and by the parents in this, because I will say in cases like this, it's always interesting because sometimes maybe it's not the video games that's the problem, but more so the parents that can't raise their kids. So let's go ahead and look at this.
I love video gaming. I will punch, slap, bite to get you out of my way.
She says her son is obsessed with violent video games.
Let's empty out this.
And he's out of control.
You have a 12-year-old child yelling, "Get in here, peasant! Bring me this!" And what do you do?
Okay, first thing I'm gonna say right now is comparatively to the other parent from the other family, whereas we're not seeing the dad yet, but so I'm gonna withhold anything on the dad, but so far the mom, she is fully capable of basically disciplining her kid, whereas like the other parent from the other family, she was disabled, and so it made it harder for her to actually discipline her son. And it's a little kid too. Come on, you're seriously gonna let your kid be that destructive?
I do it.
I know what's wrong with him. My question is, what's wrong with you?
By the way, it's in a playlist, so this whole episode is in parts.
Stop! Jennifer doesn't discipline my nephew because she's scared of him. In my house, my son is the boss of me.
That's bullshit. If you have that mentality, then you I almost said something controversial where fuck it. To an extent, it says something about you if you're literally letting your kid overrun your house. It really does.
He's the adult and I'm the child. It's my phone.
I asked politely and you said yes.
I did.
I asked politely and you said yes.
My nephew just walks all over her. He thinks he's the king of the kingdom. My nephew. He makes Jennifer's life a living hell.
What the you unfavorite it for?
I didn't do anything. I don't even know what I'm
Well,
doing.
it's not on there anymore.
He is in control of everything, what we eat, where we go. I find myself asking permission from him to be able to go to the store. I basically have to ask permission for just about everything that I do.
Why?
He treats my sister like a slave. If he wants my sister to pick him up food at 3 a.m., she'll leave the house and go do it. He will come out of his room and he will tell me,
No.
hasn't cleaned my room, so I go and clean his room up. I am fearful of what my son might do to me if I try to regain control. If he feels like he has been pushed too hard, he will retaliate in a violent way.
Why are you? Stop.
It's heartbreaking that she has to live this way.
Well, the good news is she doesn't have to live this way. I want to introduce somebody else to this conversation. Joining us is parenting reporter and writer Donna Tatro. Now, Donna is the founder of Caring Counts. What do you have to say?
The fact of the matter is that this gaming profession is $90 billion. It's being marketed to our kids. There's not just one console. There's the iPhone, the iPad, the computer, the Xbox. So they're allowed to be on all this gaming all the time. And it really is consuming them.
People don't realize, and I forget.
Yeah, and statistics for crime went down. At least people can't blame violent crimes on video games, because to an extent, when more and more people were playing video games, the statistics went down for certain crimes.
Get what the factor is, but if you look at how many billions of dollars are spent on movie tickets and compare that to how many billions of dollars are spent on gaming, It's hugely different. I mean, movies are a fraction of what kids today are spending on gaming.
Now that we know that the World Health Organization has said there is this diagnosis of a mental health disorder, it's kind of alert, alert, alert. To me as a parent, for sure, with two boys who are 9 and 10 years old. And I think really for all parents to just be very aware of what we're up against. Not to say there isn't some positive benefits.
And the game changed when they started adding the social component, right?
Yes.
Because now they're not just by themselves, they're interacting with other people, and there are predators that get on those video games, and they get to these kids in that way. So that's one of the dangers of the social component.
Absolutely, and
Yep.
then you hear the language, the door should always be open. It should not be closed.
Let me point something out.
Then again, that's, I mean, when it comes to shit like that, that's why I don't play online. To an extent, besides games like Destiny, I rarely play on multiplayer. I do it just for fun. Sure, I'm not gonna get the best score, but you know what? I do it because I enjoyed the game, and I enjoyed the time that I had for playing multiplayer. I'm not gonna be very overly competitive to it, but there are people that are complete obnoxious little pricks that inevitably just ruin the experience for people that just want to play the game and are not competitive.
Out here, you say when he is with you, he doesn't behave this way.
Not at all.
What does that say to you?
He knows that he can do that to me because I don't offer those boundaries and those lines that he can't cross.
Yeah, because I think ultimately because you're probably a bad parent.
They were blurred long ago.
It is within his capability to modulate his behavior.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's also no, but it's also it at that capacity, it's also, you know, prevalent for you to actually be a parent. If your kid's acting that way, start taking shit. You know, be a parent. Discipline. Actually do something.
Please or not. Boy! You think you hard. Here I come, this is my final time. You wasn't expecting this, boy!
My son is addicted and obsessed with violent video games.
That's not even a video game. Come on.
I hear your guns.
Video games are my son's #1 priority.
He plays when he wants, where he wants, and for as long as he wants.
He has staked.
By the way, here's something else too, which I'm sure they'll probably mention the games, but here's something that is even prevalent to the conversation right now, is, and this goes to show, like, this shows how much of a good parent or bad parent this person is. If you're that worried about the violent video games, then why did you buy the video games for your kid? I mean, seriously.
Stayed on for up to 20 hours. He never comes out of his room to eat with us, but he will yell out from his room, "Peasant, bring me a plate."
Come to me immediately! I request backup immediately!
The two games that he really likes to play the most are Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite.
So Fortnite, if I remember, is T for teen. Now I'm gonna have to guess that this is a kid, so he's probably like what? Let's say at the time, because this came out 4 years ago. This kid was probably around, let's say 11, 12 maybe. Who knows? But regardless, so Fortnite, okay, that's one game that the kid could possibly play. Now, games like Grand Theft Auto, which is M for mature. If you go to a GameStop or any legitimate game store, they'll, you know, make sure that you're the right age to purchase a game. At least that's what they do, or that's what they're supposed to do. So to an extent, and ultimately, when it comes down to the bottom line, you bought that game for him, which also means that the reason he has this game, the reason he's so obsessed with this game, is because of you.
He gets very excited about the number of kills because the more kills you have, the higher you go in the game.
Well, isn't that the purpose of a game? I mean, regardless of whether it's like a board game where like the Monopoly where you're collecting money, or Risk where you're conquering countries. Like in any game, like isn't it? Especially going forward to like video games, like either collecting coins or killing an enemy, doesn't that rank up points regardless? So in depending on what game you play, you're always doing a particular objective or doing a particular task in order to rank up points and earn currency or so on. I don't get this. Come on, this is so dumb. And anybody with a brain can see this.
It makes him very aggressive. His favorite game right now is Grand Theft Auto.
Double barrel, bitch!
It is very violent. They rob, shoot.
Which again, game, you bought it. That's your own damn fault.
Kill, beat.
Let's empty out this.
And everything they do is demeaning to women.
Jiggly, jiggly, I'm coming for the booty.
When my nephew is playing the video games, he's very rude and disrespectful to the people that he's...
I just realized that they have the kind of southern accent. Oh god. Oh god.
...playing online with.
Thank you. You didn't see anything.
He plays the game online with adults, and the language that they use is absolutely horrendous.
Beep, beep. CEO coming through.
I'm gonna kill you, beat the out of you, and piss off.
And that's transferred over to his mom.
When I tell him, watch your language, he'll tell me to shut the up and
get out.
He will turn over furniture, he breaks dishes, he has basically destroyed his room.
How would you like your death to be? Death by AIDS?
These violent games have desensitized him from actual pain and death. He has been bullied. I am scared that he...
Oh wait, he has been bullied? Maybe, perhaps, I mean, to an extent, not saying that this would cause him to become a killer, or a serial killer, or a mass murderer, but regardless, so maybe, like, to an extent, especially with how much time he spends on playing video games, he's found an outlet to possibly express himself, I'm sure somebody will correct me, through video games. Or has found that outlet that he enjoys. But regardless, it should be moderated, which, by the way, should be the task appointed to the parent.
He will take the behaviors that he's learned in the game and retaliate. He could become another school shooter.
Let's empty out this.
Yeah, because every school shooter plays... Anybody who plays video games is going to become a school shooter. Fuck off. This lady, just, no. No.
This is something...
By the way, if I sound very critical, it's because people like it's just... It is so fucking dumb to just assume that people playing video games are going to become the next mass shooter. Every single time that we've had a mass shooting, and it turns out that, oh, the person played video games... They use that as the narrative. Oh, this is why he went off and went to go shoot up a school, or shoot up a church, or shoot up a public area. No, it is not. To an extent, almost 100% of the time, more than likely, the individuals who committed the crime of, or the heinous crime of committing to a mass murder, mass shooting in public areas, has more than likely have been suffering from mental illness. And 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, because the news media wants to have some kind of agenda, won't talk about that. I know I sound a little bit heated, but that's the truth. 9 times out of 10, the factor of it being mental health that causes them to commit these crimes is never brought up.
something that I feel like I could deal with in 30 seconds or 3 hours, depending on how I approach this. But if you're so desperate, why did you not write in? Why did your sister write in? 9 times.
I guess
Okay.
I'm just complacent to it. I'm used to it.
I feel like I know what's wrong with him. My question is, what's wrong with you?
There we go.
You have a 12-year-old child yelling, "Get in here, peasant. Bring me this," and what do?
I do.
Do nothing.
You do it.
You do exactly what he
locks
wants.
you out of the house in the freezing rain and holds a sign up to the window, "I will let you in if you go get me Starbucks." And you go get it. Now, come on, help me. I'm just an old country boy. You have to help me understand how this makes sense.
Doesn't.
I've been in school for the last 18 months, and I'm gone
Good.
4 nights a week and 12-hour shifts on the weekends. And his dad has had anxiety disorder.
Oh my God. Seriously? Seriously. I just no. Just no.
And heart issues, and so physically and emotionally he wasn't able to handle him. And so by the time I got home from work, I work 40 hours a week as well. So by the time I got home, I'm just so tired and mentally and physically exhausted that I would just do whatever I had to do to keep the peace.
Okay, now his dad passed away in September of last year. Right?
Oh.
And from a heart condition, correct? And your son barely shed a tear, right?
Yes.
In fact, he said, "Hey, people die. Moving on."
Yes.
What do you think? I mean, you're looking at this. You're there every day. I just met you guys.
The way that he treats her is just deplorable. But I think she was crippled a little bit by her husband and the way that he kept things super secret. So she wasn't allowed to talk to me about it. She wasn't really allowed to talk to anybody about it. And so when she finally started opening up to me, and I realized, oh my goodness, like he is really cussing you out. He's really doing these things. Then that's when I wrote in originally. At that point, I thought maybe she'll kind of take control and it'll get better. And
Nope.
It just got worse.
Nope. Obviously not. Okay.
This is my baby, my prized possession. I love video gaming. Every day I get home, I just want to play. Oh, here I come, here I come, here I come. This is my final time. You wasn't expecting this, boy! I don't want to sound like I'm a future serial killer, but it's fun. Like when you drive a minivan through a crowd. I'm finna come. In the gaming world, like, you can get away with stuff. So cars can kill people. You're going at each other full force with guns blazing. Nobody will arrest you for public indecency. That's the good thing about online. You do what you want. You didn't see anything. Sometimes when people are acting stupid, I get mad. Double barrel, bitch! Sometimes they say some stuff that has gotten me banned multiple times, but I just don't care. Let's empty out this. One time, my console wasn't working. I took a rock, but I threw it at the TV.
Let go of me. Let go of my shirt. Stop it.
When somebody tries to mess with me when I get mad, I will punch, slap, hit, bite. I'll do whatever I can to get you out of my way.
Stop. What are you doing in my bathroom?
Sometimes, to release my anger, I grab a golf club and I go crazy on my door. These are the holes from where I did it. It was an argument and I just had to come in here, release my anger. At home, I kind of have free range because everybody knows. Like when I get that mad, you don't come over to hit me.
Oh my God.
to silence me, because I'll hit you.
Alex, how you doing?
Good.
So, your mom is concerned about your behavior at home. What is it you think she's concerned about?
Sometimes when I get angry, I do stuff.
Well, I've been watching videotape of you, and sometimes you use really bad language. You yell at her, you scream at her to get in here, peasant. You've locked her out of the house. I mean, you kind of do what you want to do, right? Why is that? Why do you not do what your mother tells you to do?
She doesn't really do anything to stop me sometimes.
So you're in charge.
That's the big point of it, is the parent, the mom, isn't being a parent. Just letting her kid do whatever he wants.
Most of the time, yeah.
Let's say your mom just says, okay, you're in charge, and she decides she doesn't want to do anything. Since you're in charge, what would you do?
I would cook, I would make food,
What would you cook?
Sandwiches.
Where would you get the stuff to cook a sandwich?
From the pantry.
You're going to eat that stuff up in a few days, and then it's empty.
What the heck?
What are you going to do to get food in there?
What?
Where are you going to work?
Technical difficulty.
You're 12.
Yeah.
I could walk dogs.
How much you get paid for walking dogs?
Like maybe $5 a day.
$5 a
day. Use the money responsibly, you could easily make a living.
$5 a day? You know what it takes to raise a child from birth to 18? How much does it cost?
A lot.
Cost about $250,000. You're gonna have to walk a lot of dogs, right? So I'm just wondering, do you take her for granted?
Sometimes, yes.
Do you think that she owes it to you to provide you with like video games and a nice house and all that?
No.
Do you think that's a privilege or a right?
Privilege.
Okay. Alright.
Long gone are the days when children lay on their bedroom floors innocently playing games that look like this. Now, 97% of teens are playing video games that look like this. And an alarming number of them are becoming addicted. Yes, that's right, addicted to video games. Games where murdering men, women, and police officers is the whole objective. Now, many experts debate whether these games are making our children more aggressive and in some instances more violent. Take a look.
Video games and your kids. Is there a link between virtual violence and the real thing?
Oh,
a study
no.
finds a link between violent games and aggressive behavior in children.
Critics point to this, the appearance of weapons in video games, like this Remington assault rifle pictured in popular game Call of Duty.
Kids are telling us that the longer they play and the more they play aggressive games, they start thinking in an aggressive way and they have more aggressive attitudes.
The kinds of messages and images that they are putting in their minds, I think they're seeing nightly dress rehearsals for huge acts of violence.
We see video games are actually being used as a scapegoat.
Oh my God.
The problem is just the science, the data does not back up that it would actually have an effect.
Yeah.
Fortnite, a free video game, has generated $1 billion in revenue in just a year.
Compulsively playing too many video games now qualifies as a mental health condition by the World Health Organization. Gaming disorder covers video game addiction that leads gamers to neglect other parts of their lives.
From difficult to compulsion, if people have impaired control over gaming, give it priority over other activities, and there is a continuation or escalation of gaming despite negative consequences, they could have a mental health condition.
Yeah, no. There's a down the line. There's a good video I want to check out or at least there's a few videos I want to check out. One of them in particular, or to do a reaction to, was a video from the Act Man, where he discusses or goes into detail in his way, the thoughts of, you know, video games being a problem, especially when it comes to violence or how they're addressed in the media. There was a segment, or a news segment, also by Angry Joe, who also rebutted the fact that people, like, claiming that people are kind of off base in terms of claiming that violence should be blamed on video games. In fact, I'm gonna look that up. Hold on. I'm gonna switch over to webcam mode for a second. I want to divert this for a second. So you guys can see that. That way, I'm kind of not waiting for another time to do it. So, Angry Joe news. On the news. About because I can't remember if it was Fox or yeah, I'm not seeing it. Dang. But there is a new segment where he does go over that with a newscast. So let's go back to this. All right, here we go.
You play these games where you shoot people in these video games, right? Mm-hmm. And you're afraid that someday he might do that in the real world, right? Yes.
That's so freaking ridiculous.
How many guns are in your house?
Quite a few, but they are all locked up.
How many guns are in your house?
More than 50. My husband was a collector.
You are concerned that you have a child that might jump from virtual reality to reality and shoot people, and you have over 50 guns, including assault rifles, in your house.
Yeah.
Common sense alert.
Exactly.
That is something that we're trying to deal with. Those all were my husband's, and you can't just...
What kind of car do you have?
A Chevy Trailblazer.
There you go. Back her up to the garage. Open the tailgate while he's in school. Load them all in there. Go down to the gun shop. Have that guy come outside, take an inventory, and walk away with a hat full of money and no guns.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lady who's worried about her, that's a good point. The lady who has who worries that her son is going to become a mass shooter by playing video games has over 50 guns in her house. Come on. Come on. No.
Now, I mentioned commando parenting because we have to go back to basics, which I mentioned before, and basics are we don't reward bad behavior.
No.
Bad language from a 12-year-old is bad behavior. Violence is bad behavior. So we know he can behave well because he does when he's with you, right? Okay, so we know he can do it, but we start from zero. And here's what listen, I've worked with Child Protective Services for years, and here's what you're required to do. You're required to provide him a stable, safe environment. That means warm, dry, food, medical, academics, a room with a bed and a blanket and a pillow would be nice. It doesn't require posters on the wall. television, video games, computers. Those are all privileges. And if he wants those things, he earns them a step at a time. And the commitment to commando parenting is really, really important. It's total immersion commitment, or you'll sabotage the plan. Must have whatever it takes mentally, 100% consistent with consequences. It's kind of akin to an intervention. You've got to create and keep a unified front with family members, anybody that's helping. You must be willing to shake things up. That means you got to change the whole situation.
Be a parent.
The most important mission of your life has got to be to turn this thing around. Are you willing to do what I'm talking about?
I am.
If I get you help to do it, I don't think you can do it on your own.
That was I'm willing to do whatever I have to, but I just need to know how to handle what happens when the situation goes badly.
When you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. I mean, if he decides that he wants to be oppositional, if he wants to be a hard guy, then you've got to be prepared to do whatever it takes to get control of your home. And look, there's all this stuff about, does playing violent video games translate to violence in the real world? The answer is no.
Thank you.
There's absolutely no research whatsoever.
Thank you. Because for whatever reason, you have all these news stations that are literally saying that violent video games cause real life violence. No, it fucking doesn't. No, it doesn't. Oh my god. For what reason? There's this mentality. It's like the Monster Energy drink lady that was claiming that Monster Energy drink was made by Satan or is satanic. Where it's like, you, for whatever reason, because it's something that you don't like, that you automatically assume that it's ultimately bad. When in reality, it's not. Just because you don't like it does not mean it's satanic. Does not mean that just because something has violent content in it. And if that's the case, if something, like let's say, if something that has violence in it created violent or violent actions towards people or in people, doesn't that mean that we should start banning movies, music, literature that literally has violence in it? Heck, should we, I had one like on hand, but should we like ban the Bible that talks about people being, basically being, in certain segments, people die in violent ways? Shouldn't that also be banned? I would say good luck for the religious communities. Good luck with that, because certain people are religious and they wouldn't want their own holy book to be banned. Man, I just realized, just imagine the uproar if the community, if certain individuals classified religion as an addiction. My gosh, that would be actually kind of funny to see that. Just imagine the uproar from the masses that aren't in Christianity, Muslim, Jewish communities, etc. Just every single one of them like being classified as an addict for having a religion. That would be just, oh my god. That it would be, I think for the most part, it'd be kind of hilarious.
That suggest that playing violent video games translates to violent behavior in life. It just doesn't.
No,
and
doesn't.
They say that there's an addiction. Playing video games does light up neurological pathways to the pleasure centers. So does a dip of ice cream. Whether you call it addiction at a neurological level or not, it is clearly dysfunctional to the extent that he's doing it and he is modeling bad behavior. Are you willing to stop this?
Yes.
And we got one more part, but yeah. So even DR.Phil says violence in video games does not relate to real life violence. You know, this woman classifying what her what this kid kid is going through as an addiction could possibly be. I mean, granted, to the health organizations, they have classified things like video games as an addiction. If you spend too much time on it and it ruins certain aspects of your life, then yes, you could possibly be suffering from an addiction. But as, again, Dr. Phil has pointed out, so does anything else. Anything else can be classified as an addiction as well. So, there. Alright, we got one more segment of this.
You believe that these violent video games, you think he's addicted?
Yes.
And where does he work?
My nerves, mainly.
Where did he get these video games?
Oh, the hardball questions. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's gonna put her on the back foot. Okay.
His dad purchased the game console and the video games.
You think he's addicted to gaming, but you've provided him gaming equipment.
Yes.
Do you buy the extras for the games?
Come on.
He does.
And where's he get that money?
My PayPal account is on his Microsoft.
You know, I knew if I just kept asking questions, she was eventually going to give it up.
You fed him. If this is an addiction, you fed his addiction.
He doesn't purchase them, however, without asking first.
All right. Common sense alert.
I was just trying to justify myself.
No.
Common sense
There's
alert.
no way to justify that. You want to blame video games. This lady wants to blame video games for her kids' actions. But in reality, it's her being a piss poor parent. And to an extent, I know I sound mean, and it sucks that her husband died, but regardless, she just lets her kid do whatever he wants. Doesn't reprimand it. Doesn't do to an extent. Doesn't do what she's supposed to do as a parent. And just lets him do have his way. I mean, come on. That's no. That's just dumb.
This is the part where I said we could handle this in 30 seconds. Don't do that anymore. If you've got a child that you think is addicted to gaming, which I don't think he is, by the way, and you think it's going to lead him to be the next school shooter, which I don't think it is, by the way, but you think this is dysfunctional, you're the one providing him the games that you think are dysfunctional. You're buying him the extras that go along with it. You're enabling him to do this. He couldn't do it without you, and you're doing it because you're afraid he's going to beat you up or something if you don't.
Exactly.
You're the mother here. There's a real simple rule that I follow, and that is you just don't reward bad behavior.
Yes.
Okay? How simple is that? And he's throwing bombs at you and telling you 3 o'clock in the morning, go get me food, locking you out of the house. Come in here, peasant, and you do it. You are rewarding bad behavior.
Where do I begin to fix this? What outside? Because if I take the Xbox, then he will do his best to find my computer that I use for everything and break it. I mean,
you know that ahead of time, don't you?
Yes, and when I hide it, he will empty my closet looking for it. I mean, I don't know how to stop it from escalating to that point.
Well, have you given up?
Yes.
Then what's the point in me giving you tools? What's the point in me putting a tool belt around your waist if you're not going to use it?
Yeah.
I love video gaming.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent. I mean, ultimately, okay, hold on.
I love video gaming. I will punch, slap, bite to get you out of my way.
She says her son is obsessed with violent video games.
Let's empty out this
And he's out of control.
Oh, so that's okay. So ultimately, okay, I gotta say a few things, because ultimately, all this stems down to is the mom not essentially not putting up putting the effort into actually disciplining her son and actually taking charge. It's, if you have to take away the Xbox, okay, you take away the Xbox. If you have to go further than that, then go further than that. But you can't just let your kid run the freaking house and rule it. You just can't. And you can't claim that the kid has an addiction. Obviously, there's something wrong. I mean, it was briefly, I mean, they glanced over it, but it's mentioned briefly that he's bullied. And it seems like the only outlet he has to kind of express himself is the video games. Although in a negative way, it's still expressing himself. I don't... This I don't even know why this is a DR.Phil episode. Anybody with a brain who saw this whole thing happening could have just told this woman, you're not being a parent. Stop blaming the video games. Discipline your son. Be a freaking adult and take charge of your house. This whole thing was dumb. This is dumb. So, what are your guys' thoughts? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Leave in the comments down below. Please like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you guys next video.